Out to our Devin Clark. He is live at the scene where that deputy was shot this afternoon. Devin.
We can do walking.
Yeah, Andy. So basically, within the past maybe 5 to 10 minutes or so, we were getting ready to do our live shot for the 5 o'clock when all of a sudden we heard a barrage of gunfire. We heard about, sounded like a dozen shots, maybe 3 at first. Then there was a pause, and then we heard more shots. And then all of a sudden, a sea of law enforcement started running this way. We saw maybe 50 to 100 officers running, and then people who were shopping here started running the other way. We're not exactly sure if anyone was shot, what exactly is going on, but as you can see, they now have this area of the parking lot blocked off. The Dollar Tree is about a football field distance in front of me, and behind me, about 30 to 40 yards, you can see where this very active scene is. We're going to try to get a little closer because it seems that it is safe right now because they have blocked the area off, but we know that this is now the focus of the investigation. Everybody is over here right now. We saw people scrambling. We saw people who are with law enforcement units wearing tactical gear, running with guns out. And now I'm just going to let you guys take a look at what we're seeing out here live. We're working to gather more information about what is going on here, but as you can see, the focus of the investigation now shifted to the other end of the parking lot after a barrage of gunfire. We're going to keep you posted with more information as it becomes available. Andy? So right now, you can just see that there are about maybe a dozen cars with lights on, official vehicles with lights on. It does appear that officers are now retreating over here this way. The frantic running has calmed down, but still very active out here, very uncertain exactly what happened. We do, of course, believe that this is connected to that deputy shooting, but we're unclear of whether the suspect was found here, near here, who was shooting at who. It does appear there's somebody, somebody is being carried right now. If you could see it, it looks like someone in all beige. Not sure if it was another officer or what, but we do see someone being carried by a group of law enforcement. Okay, they're coming over here this way. They're asking people to clear out as this person is. Oh, that's a dog. It appears that that's a canine dog on the ground. And now they're signaling for the helicopter in the air. Very involved scene, very fluid scene. Just a lot of moving parts here. They're telling people to get back as they work on what we believe to be a canine dog on the ground. All of this happening right before our eyes. We're not sure exactly if the suspect was apprehended, shot, or if the suspect is still on the run at this point. But the law enforcement officers that ran this way now have their attention around what we believe to be a canine dog that may have been shot when we heard that gunfire blasting off just a few moments ago.
Devin, this is Keith and Daniela now at KPRC2 News at 5. We're starting right now, but Devin, we want to stay out there with you. Okay, my goodness. First, can you walk us back to where you were a few minutes ago? Tell us again, explain to those who might just be tuning in.
When was those shots fired?
Yeah, Keith, we actually see right now, before I get there, it looks like the helicopter is landing here in this parking lot. They were signaling for the helicopter above, and about 10 minutes or so ago, we heard a large amount of gunfire rattling off in the distance. I'm not sure if you can hear me because, as you can see, the helicopter is just trying to land here. But as soon as we heard that gunfire, all of the law enforcement officials who were kind of standing around, opening up the scene actually, started running in this direction. And now we saw them running back with what we believe to be a canine dog that may have been shot. And as you can see, this helicopter, this GPS helicopter now landing here in the parking lot as officials have what we believe to be that canine dog circled. They were carrying him. They ran to where we see them right now. And it looks like they're now transporting this dog onto the helicopter. Here, they're rushing it onto the helicopter. I'm going to attempt life-saving measures. A very fluid scene out here. We heard about maybe a dozen gunshots rattling off in the distance, and then we saw law enforcement officials from multiple agencies, DPS, Pearland Police, HPD, and now we see them kind of focusing their attention on this helicopter where they brought what we believe to be a canine dog. We're not sure if the suspect has been apprehended in all of this at this time, but we do know that right now the group of law enforcement officials that had run over here to this part of the parking lot now kind of standing by silently as this helicopter is prepared to carry what we believe to be a canine unit away.
Yes.
Can you hear us, Devin?
Yes, we can hear you now. I'm
Okay, we just want to clarify, this is the same parking lot where this original shooting happened. Is that correct?
That is correct. So what you're seeing right now is the opposite end of the parking lot. Adrian, I'm going to ask my photographer to turn around to show where the Dollar Tree is. And you can see just how far it is away. I'm going to guess about 200 yards or so from where the Dollar Tree is to where now all of this commotion is happening right now. So if this does have anything to do with them spotting the suspect, it seems he didn't go very far because we are still in the exact same parking lot where the deputy was shot, Jesus Vargas was shot earlier.
So, Devin, where you are in relation to that Dollar Tree where the initial shooting happened, would that qualify? Would you say this is the same shopping center, or would it be a different shopping center?
Yes.
The same.
Same one. Okay, just want to clarify for our viewers.
Exactly the same shopping center.
Are you hearing?
On the opposite end of the shopping center, but it is the same exact shopping center. And the police tape was originally over there by the Dollar Tree. And some of it still is, but now the police tape is over here as well at the other end of the parking lot where the Domino's, the Boost Mobile is.
Right.
We see an Octa Pharma Plasma
and that was
location as well.
That would all certainly make sense because we have been able to confirm that the suspect after the initial shooting, he left the scene on foot, and so obviously he wasn't able to go very far.
But, right, we don't know, right, Devin? Where he could have gone into one of these stores, he could have been hiding somewhere, but this area has been secured for quite a couple of hours now. For a few hours, we've had reporters reporting live from there, and so this manhunt has been on in this area and, you know, the area surrounding it. So at some point, all of a sudden, we hear shots that are fired in this same parking lot. Is that correct?
That is correct. Things had calmed down tremendously, Danielle. In fact, like I said earlier, we were actually getting ready to do our story from this parking lot about what a witness saw. But while we were preparing to do our live shot at 5 o'clock, we heard all of this gunfire, which sounded like it was actually coming from inside one of these stores. It could have been behind this strip mall, but we did see all of that activity, and right now we do see some paramedics with a stretcher heading over to this location. We're not exactly sure who they're getting ready to pick up, but we definitely believe that this has a lot to do with that deputy being shot earlier. It's unclear whether the suspect has now been shot, whether the suspect has now been apprehended, but we do know that just a few moments ago, officials rushed what we believe to be a canine unit over here to this area of the parking lot and waited for that helicopter as officers signaled for that helicopter to land right here. Then they transported the dog onto the aircraft, and then it's now gone. Now we see paramedics heading back to where those officers who were carrying the dog came from.
Yeah, so someone's
injured. And so we're trying to
or...
determine exactly who was injured over there and what exactly is going on, because the scene just reactivated as it was calming down.
Okay,
All right,
Devin.
we just have some breaking news from our booth. One of our executive producers, we have learned that the suspect is dead. And we've also learned that the suspect is the one who shot that dog, shot the canine unit, the canine officer. And so we are learning now from our sources that the suspect is dead, and that's where that stretcher is likely headed.
Yeah, Devin, KPRC2 investigates. Our team has been making phone calls to their sources, and they're telling us, our investigates team telling us that, as Keith just mentioned, there was gunfire between the suspect and the police officers, and that the canine was shot. So that's information that we're getting. We are sending that to you since you're out there at the scene. So let's keep our eyes on that at that store, because it's likely they're going to take out that suspect out on that stretcher any minute now, and that's why you may think that things are a little bit more calm now, because that suspect is now dead.
I'm glad to get that context, because everything you're saying does correlate to with what we're seeing out here. And as we mentioned earlier, there was a massive search underway for that suspect, but this is the exact same parking lot where the deputy was shot. So he didn't get very far. In fact, we don't know if he had been hiding behind this strip mall, if he had been hiding inside of a store. But as you mentioned, that suspect now shot after shooting that canine unit, and now officials are now on the other side. We can't see around the corner from this, but we know that they're around the corner there and dealing with this part of the situation after that suspect has been shot.
If you think about it, there are many places where he could hide when he's taking off on foot. You know, you have restaurants, you have stores.
He could have gone inside of a building.
Right, typically in these types of investigations, officers surround this area, they close it off, they go in and they clear every single store, every single room. They talk to potential witnesses, they're looking for surveillance cameras, and you know, they might have been doing all of this with that canine there, and were surprised by this suspect, and that is where the shots were exchanged. That canine was shot.
Yeah, and Devin, when you were there before all of this activity began, did it seem, because I know you've been on a million crime scenes, did it seem as if they were concentrated possibly on a suspect, or was it routine work because of the shooting that had happened earlier?
It seemed like they had been kind of taking apart part of this crime scene. They were opening up Stella Link Road, and they were actually removing a lot of the yellow tape that we saw here. We were preparing to do our story at 5. We just saw officers kind of about the place casually. And as you know, of course, canines are used for a reason, because of their keen sense of smell. And it's possible that that is what happened, that canine unit discovered the suspect hiding in this area, and that's when that exchange of gunfire ensued. We know that right now we're not hearing a lot of activity, but we do know that they are doing whatever they're doing around the corner there, as we saw the paramedics walking down this side of the strip mall with the stretcher. And so it's not necessarily clear whether they thought the suspect had gotten far, but we do know that a lot of the activity that we saw initially had calmed down when everyone had to scramble and duck when we heard those gunshots about now 15 or so minutes ago.
Yes, yeah, and just seeing those officers, they've already been through so much tragedy today with the one deputy losing his life, but it was sad for people to be able to see that dog being taken onto the helicopter, because we know if you know anything about police departments, they love their animals. They love their canine officers as well. They consider them part of their force. And so from our vantage point, it seemed as if it might have at least either was a Belgian Malinois or perhaps a German Shepherd, but we know the critical part that those canine units play in any department.
Absolutely, and the fact that we didn't even know it was a canine at first. We just saw officers frantically running with a physical body of some sort in their arms. It was beige, so I wasn't sure whether it was one of the DPS officers that wear beige, because we just saw them carrying something beige, and they were very concerned and very attentive to what they were carrying. And now that we do know it is a canine unit, that just speaks to what you said, that these canine units are part of the force. They play a significant and important role in apprehending suspects because of their keen senses of smell. And so because of this dog being shot, this canine unit, we saw them waving down the helicopter from the sky, and it landed right here in the parking lot. Everything was focused on saving that dog's life, and we're going to continue to work to learn how that dog is doing. But right now, as you mentioned, we do know that the suspect has been shot, and it appears that that canine unit that has also now been shot played a significant role in apprehension.
Yeah, this helicopter headed to an animal hospital and trying to obviously get as much help as it can, because as you mentioned, these officers, these canine officers, are so important to the police department. Devin, thank you so much. We're going to go to Mario Diaz right now, and he's following this. He's part of our KPRC2 Investigates team. He's been getting a lot of this information confirmed with his sources. And Mario, what can you share with us?
Yeah, the information that we're able to brought to you, obviously confirmed by KPRC2 Investigates in the last 10 minutes. It came through a text directly to me. Suspect shot canine. Police shot and killed suspect. Again, the suspect in today's shooting death of the Brazoria County Sheriff's officer is dead. That's according to a high-ranking member of law enforcement. Let me tell you what I have learned as to what took place in that dramatic set of minutes here that's played out here live here on KPRC2. That is what took place leading up to the shootout. According to law enforcement, what happened was they had a canine, the canine that we saw that was just helicoptered off there. He was searching the area. They were able to track a scent to a dumpster. The dog went to the dumpster. Law enforcement followed it. That's where they found the suspect. According to law enforcement, he shot the dog. Law enforcement then took out the suspect. Again, suspect shot and killed by law enforcement here. I've been trying to also identify information with regards to this dog. Whose department did he belong to? As we saw in that video, and I hope we're going to get this turned around again, what we saw at the top there with that dog being rushed into that helicopter, when a canine dog goes down for law enforcement, that is like a member of the own team. They look at that dog and treat him just like he's a member of law enforcement that took the oath. You will see a number of police officers now rally around this canine and obviously and gather around him the same way you would see an officer, because he is a member of their team. And in this instance, he was the one who tracked down that suspect and led him to officers. Danielle and Keith.
Mario, so can you just clarify for us, you're saying that the scent was at a dumpster, possibly behind the shopping center, because we were trying to figure out, there's so many places he could be hiding inside of one of the stores, but behind a dumpster is somewhere where maybe he's just isolated and would be needed to, found by a canine.
And you could just picture yourself, if you're in that kind of situation, you just wait it out, right? You have boxes, you can throw yourself in there. And then here's that image once again, such dramatic video. This is immediately following the shootout. You have the canine being rushed to a DPS helicopter that came onto the parking lot. They landed it, and right there you can see that canine. Those officers there treating this wounded animal the same way they would treat one of their own. They are desperately trying to get this dog to medical services to try and treat his wound. Again, the dog was shot by the suspect, according to law enforcement, who was, Daniela, as you indicated, once again, hiding in a dumpster. This according to law enforcement. And you think about this location is literally just a few hundred yards from where we started all of our coverage earlier this afternoon. And now we're going back to a scene there that was from earlier of the helicopter. I believe that's the live scene of the helicopter. I'm sorry, that was live. This is live of the helicopter landing back on the location. I'm going to toss things back to you, but that's the very latest. Again, KPRC2 confirming all of this here in the last 10 minutes.
Okay, Mario, thank you. Yes, and as we look at this helicopter, this Texas DPS helicopter was a same type of helicopter that came in to get the dog. We don't know if this is the same helicopter or not. Maybe it's a different one. But returning to that scene for a reason.
Before you go, I want to ask you something from your experience covering situations like this. I mean, this dumpster is right behind the shopping center. This happened earlier today at around 11:30. So it's been quite a few hours where they secure a scene. They go to the stores. They interview people. I mean, typically they would have gone to this dumpster, right, to look for this suspect where it's likely he could be hiding.
Daniela, I will tell you from experience in covering these kind of situations, situations, officers' focus is on immediately going to the family member of the officer that was shot and killed, because you want to make them aware. And at the same time, you have another group that's trying to track down the suspect. And the officer's mentality is, where are we going to go to see where this suspect is? And they're also looking at, obviously, technology that law enforcement has to track movements of those who might have been connected to this individual as well. So they're going to be searching that area. I did speak with a worker at the O'Reilly Auto Store seconds after this happened, and they told me, yeah, we're locked inside here. We know something just went down. We didn't really hear it, but we see all of the commotion, and we're trying to figure it out ourselves. But yes, it was the dumpster that's located in that shopping center, and when you think about it, it's an area that if you're getting away on foot, you're looking to find yourself to be able to hide from law enforcement, you throw yourself in there, you put the boxes, and at some point that dog that appeared to be a German Shepherd got that scent, and it's now led to the conclusion of what has been a tragic day for law enforcement.
Yeah, if you're going to run for officers, you're going to try to find any nook and cranny that you can. All right, Mario, thank you for that. Our hearts are certainly with the officers and with that K-9 officer as well. We know that they want him to survive.